Man, what's going on, bro?
Hey, what's up?
How you been?
Tired, man. Tired, dude. Like, I feel like we made a pilgrimage or something, man. It's been a minute.
Bro. So I'm already gonna comment real quick. Like I am high key jealous of the setup. I feel like it's been a minute since I've seen it, but the camera got a glow to it on your set. You got like the purple hue in the back, you got the perfect lighting in the face, you got like the 4K camera, bro. I see you. I
Hey,
see you.
I try. I try every now and then. Every now and then. I haven't turned these lights on, and I literally thought I was like, I don't know if they're gonna turn back on because I don't know when the last time we've been on. You know?
Bro, real talk, man. I all of my stuff was actually in a box about up until about 20 minutes ago. And I was like, oh, we got the show. And so I said, oh, I need to send you the link, but I ended up not sending it to you. I sent it to my wife. I was like, what she need to? So I'm sitting there looking at the clock like, yo, where's Carrie? And I look at the email. Like, I sent it to Candace, not Carrie. Here we are.
Hey, this is how it goes. I mean, we're a bit rusty. It's all good though. I mean, we're trying to get back into the groove of things. Tal's on. Hey, Tal just had a birthday.
Wow. Shout out to Tal, man.
Shout out to Tal. 31. 31.
Welcome to the club, Tal.
She grown
As
now.
as many of us get ready to exit said 30-year-old club, we'd like to welcome you to this semi-secret society where bones ache and it takes you a little longer to do things.
Okay, so this is actually perfect. This is actually perfect.
And that's good.
That's how you know you get on. Hey, so this is actually fascinating because it ties into a conversation I was having with Daniel yesterday. So in my newfound reality, I'm always on Disney Plus for a number of things, whether it's Cooper and Spidey and Friends or something else going on, right? So I'm on Disney Plus, and I see that they just released Father of the Bride and Father of the Bride 2 on there. Steve Martin, Father of the Bride. So I'm like, dang, how old was Steve Martin? Steve Martin in Father of the Bride was 46 when that was shot, right? I'm like, dang, he seems so much older when I watched this as a kid. Like, I don't understand. So I looked up other actors that were 46. Benedict Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange himself is old, is 46. He's like 46, 47. He could be Father of the Bride. And I said to Danielle, we were just having this conversation. Like, age has just changed, man. It's not the same as it was back in the early 90s, right? Like, think about this, right? She showed me a tweet, a meme that said 30 years ago. Someone said 30 years ago, and my mind goes the 70s, 80s.
Fact. I seen this one.
What they meant was 1992. 1992 was 30 years ago. This is insane.
So for you, it has to hit different, I would assume, because you are still teach, or you are still tangentially. Did I say that right? You still exist in a professional space, somewhat in a college setting. So you see students that you could feasibly be their father.
No. What's even more twisted than that is I have friends who told me that their kid goes to my job, right? And I'm like, what? They're like, look out for my daughter, man. She out there. Or I ran into a friend at orientation. I was like, what you doing up here? It's like, my daughter, she's at orientation. We up here talking. And I was like, dang, that's crazy.
Damn.
But even more crazier, I used to have a student assistant when I first became a professional, right? So I had a student assistant. She went on and graduated. She is now like a senior manager and hired one of my later student assistants as a professional. And now they're both like senior leaders at their organizations. And I'm like, Dang, y'all
Yeah.
making me feel old. This is like
Yeah,
grandparents
real
stuff.
talk, real talk. No, man, y'all know, like I love going to the gym. The other day, I hurt my back. I ain't quite slowed down, still going to the gym. But I was like, this thing normally doesn't take this long to heal, right?
Right,
Like
right,
it's
right.
been 2 weeks. It's been
Hey,
two
bro.
weeks.
Talking about healing. I mean, what I brought up to Danielle. So let me set the premise for this correctly. So we were listening to 90s R&B jams, right? 90s R&B jams.
The greatest era for R&B.
So what came on was Wyclef and No 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 with Destiny's Child, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking to myself, I said, dang, if you think about this in a way, there might not be a Beyonce had there not been a Wyclef. Because Wyclef definitely was the reason why you probably listened to Destiny's Child's first record, first big pop. No, 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 no. Right now, Beyonce has eclipsed that big time. Right.
Right. Hold
And
on.
Danielle was thinking, did Beyonce eclipse or did Destiny's Child eclipse Wyclef? And I was like, oh, most definitely. I think
That's not a conversation.
I think in this current time, Destiny's Child gets back together, and we're not even talking the original four, probably the three: Michelle, Kelly, and Beyonce. They went
Oh,
on a tour together.
you talking about the one that was semi crazy?
No, Michelle, the
Wasn't
one
Michelle the one that fell?
Yeah, I think she did fall. I forgot all about that. But yeah, so those three get back together. I think they will outsell a Fugees because what it was Wyclef and the Fugees. I think they would. I think they would.
The only reason that is because of Beyonce, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we can say that.
The Beyonce factor is real, though. I mean, think about this.
All right,
Beyonce
are we going to go one concert only? And you're guaranteeing that Lauryn Hill shows up on time.
The premise was Fugees was about to do a reunion concert, right?
Okay.
And people were going crazy.
So now, here we go.
If Destiny's Child does that same concert and it happens the same weekend, and you could go to both, which one are you going to?
I think it's era. I think if you talk to
it is an error. If
you talk to kids 30 and under,
no,
I think you're probably because here's the thing, right? Beyonce's in concert now.
Right.
So you can see Beyonce tomorrow and feel like I was at a Destiny Child concert and be all right. But if you said
I think about it like this though. Beyonce did Coachella, right?
Mm-hmm.
That joint was 2 days, Netflix special, all that. They brought out Destiny's Child. People crazy.
I don't disagree. And I'm sorry, I don't want you to feel like I'm disagreeing.
No, so what I would say is this. I think you have to be 35 and older to want to go see the Fugees.
100%.
Everybody else, though, including the 35 and olders, is a particular hit for Destiny's Child where you can be like, I mean,
but that's why I said I think if you caveated this and say the Fugees is only doing this one night only concert, then right. I feel like because I think the thing that we get lost in the Fugees is you get the R&B pull from Lauryn Hill, but you also get the hip hop pull because of the rest of the Fugees, right? And Wyclef.
I don't think it matters.
I think it matters. I think if we're gonna go one concert, if you told the streets right now,
right,
Beyonce's gonna continue to tour, she's gonna continue to do her Vegas residency, right?
Right.
Wyclef in the Fugees and Lauryn Hill will be on time. I think you have to that has to be on the flyer, on the handbill. It has to say Lauryn Hill will be on time.
Let's see. That's what I'm saying. So I think there's another aspect of this that we haven't really thought of, right? Or we haven't brought up is that Wyclef, all the drama around Wyclef with Lauren Hill probably does more to take away from that legacy than it does to add to it. There's more people that are, I still think there's going to be more people trying to go to that Destiny's Child concert regardless, right? But anyway, circle it back to you going to the gym. So I was like, think about it this way. Beyonce has been in the game since about 95, right?
Has it been that long? Wow, yeah.
It's been almost 30 years.
That's
in
crazy.
the game.
That's crazy.
Right? Now, think about it this way, right? I was telling Danielle, I was like, this is like the LeBron conversation. And I don't, we'll go down that pathway of
I'm not
greatest, and we don't have to. But I would stand to recognize this. This man is 37, 38. He's been playing ball since he's 17, 18.
17.
He is going to play ball with his son in the league.
Crazy.
And he's able to say, I'm going to play with him, like on the same team. Like I can't think of a time where this would happen other than players like Tom Brady that we take care of their body so intentionally that they can uphold that, right?
But it's Ken Griffey Jr. did it. I mean, but that's a baseball thing, so I don't really know if people would really follow that one.
I don't know that, I literally don't know this. I don't know that the same wear and tear happens on your body, baseball to basketball.
No. I mean, I think we're splitting hair. I mean, I think you're absolutely right. I think the wear and tear on the body in baseball. I think if we had our friend Marlon on the show, he'd probably argue differently, since he's had 2 knee surgeries around playing baseball. But but I will agree. I think when you brought up that we're closer, I think the reference was like we're closer to. One of them was like you're closer to 1992 than you are, or 1992 and 20 something are the same distance apart. I think that was something around that mean.
I mean, it just feels different. Like in 1992, 30 years ago was 1962.
Yeah, but I think that's technology, right? I think when we really look back at all of this, it's technology has drastically sped up how we feel, how we perceive time, because every year it's something tangibly different that we can hold, right? Like, case in point, I remember, everybody knows I moved. We're in the new house finally. So that's why things are kind of off center and not really doing much. Candace has done a great job of turning this place into a home. A couple of things left to do, but I took a TV off the wall that I bought 3 years earlier than another TV, but the weight difference had to be 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Right. Like I took a Toshiba off the wall and that thing broke my back. I'm like, man, what? Like you would have thought this was a flow model big back TV, right? But then I went and took the Vizio off the wall, and I could carry that something gun around the house with one hand, right? So I think its technology has drastically sped up.
Just changed, man.
How we perceive time.
It's just great. It's crazy. The more that I think about this, like, dang. 30 years ago was 1992. That just feels, it's just insane that's when that period was. That was like an era. And like we're still largely like it makes me understand the disconnect that adults would feel for me in 92, reflecting about 1962, right? Because now I'm that adult talking to kids in 2022, and they're like, you mean back in the 90s, like pre-turn of the century?
And then you want to like box a kid in the face when you say that.
You're like, what are you talking about? They're like, yeah, back before the century turn, and you guys used to have to use the internet by phone. Right? And you're like, yeah, like dial-up internet was it. That was how things worked. You know what I mean?
But I think the difference is, though, like technology aids in our perception of time or the speed at which we perceive time, but I also think technology connects us better to, you know, the past or to our era more so than when we
Yeah,
were young talking to somebody about the past, right?
I
Because there
agree.
was no way for me, like all the stories that I would, you know, you sit down and talk to your grandparents, right? All the stories that they're going to tell you are stories. Whereas if you sit down and talk to your kid about something, you can reference it by let's watch a YouTube video and it's crystal clear, right? So now, granted, can we still watch a YouTube video on something our grandparents talked about? Yes, but I think it's probably in third person. It's somebody talking about that time and not actual video footage or articles from that time, if that makes sense.
Well, see, here's what I
Did that make sense? I hope that makes
it
sense. Yeah.
does. It does make sense. Here's what I would add to that that I think is even more kind of reflective of technology. This whole idea behind technology and reflection of time and all that stuff. So recently, I my both my dad's parents have passed away. Both my
Mm-hmm.
grandparents on my dad's side have passed away. And thanks to Google Photos, we were able to find a video of my grandmother, honestly, at my sister's birthday party, and just randomly looking through stuff, found this video, and just as crystal clear, right? I
Mm-hmm.
heard my grandmother's voice, and I didn't see her on camera, but I was like, "That's my grandmother."
That's your grandmother. Yep.
And it was a reflection point that was like, "Dang, I haven't heard my grandmother's voice in so long," right?
Mm-hmm.
That it's stuff like that's just amazing. We also found a video on YouTube of my grandfather
Mm-hmm.
just randomly somewhere, right? And I was able to put that in front of my son and be like, this is
Yep.
my grandfather, right?
Yep. But you
Great.
think of, so fast forward that to the future, right? Like your grandkids, you know, when you're gone,
Right.
your whatever it is, they will have the capacity to Google granddad and say, look at all this content that Carrie put out, right? So
Right.
I will always have some level of knowledge of who Carrie was or who Jeffrey is or was because of the digital age that we live in, as
Yeah.
opposed to our grandparents. If knock on wood, right? If the house burns down, then we lose all of
Right.
the content pictures that we have access to, right? Like, you know,
Right.
once the matriarch or patriarch in the family passes away, all of the access to who the essence of that person was leaves with them. Whereas our great great grandkids are going to be able to look back, knock on wood, assuming our content lives forever, right? And they're
Right.
gonna go, yo, like Carrie and Jeff was a pretty dude, you know, like they
Right.
like let's
They're
carry
gonna be
on
able
the legacy of Drunk Mondays, right?
right. They're gonna be able to log into this and be like, yeah, like my great grandfather had a show on
Mm-hmm.
something called Facebook
The Facebook.
that that was about, I don't know why, but they called it Drunk Monday. It's like, and that's
Yep.
these are legacy things. I would say the only crazier part about that is our grandparents never imagined a world in what technology would be
Mm-hmm.
the truth detector on them, right? So like um your grandparents could tell you a story about something, or it more that I think this comes about is in genealogy, right? Where they're like, oh no, like I'm Native American. You ain't Native American. We now have ancestry DNA, and it shows the lie detector determined that was a lie. You are black, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I don't think they ever imagined a world and when at which someone would be able to give you a Q-tip, you would be able to swab your mouth, send that off, and somebody tell you your whole gene history and where
Right.
you come.
I
You
mean,
know,
when you think about, it's funny you brought that up. When you bring up time, and one of the things that I thought I just looked it up. You remember the movie Demolition Man with Wesley Snipes, and
yeah, yeah,
that movie was set in 2032, right? And so even when you look at our perception of when a movie was made and what the future would look
right.
like we're
Yeah.
coming up on those moments, right? And then George Jetson was born
He
July
was born
31st,
right.
2022,
Right.
right?
This is
Like
crazy.
we've already surpassed the year that Back to the Future said we were going to go to. And so you
Right.
get to see, people's perception of what they thought the future is and where we are right now. And so I think that's pretty. I think it's super dope when we take a step back and think about time as it relates to where we were versus where we are right now.
Yeah, it's just kind of crazy. It's like, for all I know, we are living in some computer system that the kids thousands of years have loaded up, and we just think we're real or something. I don't know. It could be all a virtual reality engine that someone's like, they think they're real, but I'm just watching. Right.
Yeah, they're all playing this horrible game of The Sims with us.
Right.
So hey, you talk about time, and then so in pre-show we talked about just catching up on what we've both been up to, what current events have happened. A couple of weeks ago, they said June 29th, 2022 was the shortest day ever recorded. Yeah. Excuse me. No, it says it recently was the shortest day scientists have ever recorded because the Earth was spinning 1.59 milliseconds faster than.
Right.
So again, so here we are talking about time, and yes, it feels like we're speeding up. But I felt every one of those 1.9 milliseconds because my sleep wasn't long enough that day. But I mean, I think again, it's just it's relative and it's a joke, but it's interesting to think about as we talk about time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that years from now you'll find out that time dilation sickness is like a thing, right? That's like the Earth might be off by 1.5 milliseconds, but that had significant ramifications for your body's wear and tear. It was like, it just maximized out or something. I don't know.
This what Tal don't understand because she's just 31.
No, she understands. I give her props.
At the ripe old age of 38, I felt those 1.9 seconds.
Hey, Tal be in the gym. I'm so proud of her. She got like a gym habit. I'm like, what? I don't know where you get it, but props.
That gym habit, man, has gotten. I mean, I'm still in it. Right. So before we moved, the gym was like 15 minutes away.
Right.
Now I'm still going to the same gym, and so in the morning at 5 a.m., I leave the house about 4:30 in the morning. About 30 minutes. Yeah, it's real, bro.
30 minutes out. 30 minutes out of town.
30 minutes. Ooh. 30 minutes, man. But I love my gym, man. I love my gym, and it's hard. It's hard to really take that step and go, oh, I'm going to find a new one, right? Like you love the people, you love the trainers, you love the push that you get, and so it's like, all right, what's an extra 15 minutes with no traffic at 4:00 in the morning?
Hey man, while we're talking about it, and we were talking about time and obviously pre-show stuff, what are all the things that happened while we were gone? Think about that, because we were gone probably about a month.
About a month.
It was about a month. A lot of stuff happened during the month. We came down with COVID and ear infections and strep throats, and all the kids were sick all the time.
Fights, bro.
That, right? And then the world just turned over. So I know one thing that I realized while I was out was I was like, man, people were talking about this Drake album like it was trash. I actually like Drake's album. And I
didn't even listen to it.
Drake's album, not bad. Beyonce's album, not bad. I'm cool with it. So
like those are people trash Drake's album so bad. I don't think I've listened to one song on the album.
But see, the difference is I think I'm okay with Drake's album because I grew up around house music. So it's like, it's cool. I'm straight.
All right. Hold on, Daniel, what you think about Drake's album?
He said Chicago nightlife. Hey man, it's like house music. That's what it is.
Is that what it is? Like, I mean, people trash that dude thing so bad, bro. I couldn't even get in it. I was like, I'm not. And it's a double-edged sword for me now because all the things that I would do during my commutes. So when I leave home and go to work, are gone.
Right.
Right. Like my commute now is 6 minutes. It's literally four turns and 2 traffic lights.
Hey.
And so super blessed. You ain't starting no podcast with 7 minute ride with a 6 minute ride.
Hey, but you could start it on the gym ride though. You could probably do it on the gym ride.
The gym ride is typically, I'll say this: when you talk about what happened while we were gone, when Mar-a-Lago got got raided, I started picking up I started listening to all of my political podcasts again, and so I was doing that traditionally during my gym ride, but now I'm just probably back on the and it's football season. Getting close to football season, so I'm pretty sure I'll pick up Sports Talk Radio again. But yeah, man, the gym ride was dedicated to Trump's house getting raided. Like I was all over that. Like, oh shit!
That raid on Trump's house. This turning into one of the most electric things that's happened in the dude. And then for I think I was following it through the press conferences, right? So when Garland was like, all right, tell you what we're gonna do. Since Trump doesn't want to release stuff and he wants to talk like it's all bad, here we gonna do. We're gonna release out some of the information. Falls in your court. Thank you. Goodbye. I said. And then he came back. He was like, as I said, no questions. Thank you.
Right. And then Trump's like, no. And it's funny.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Wait. What are we doing?
It's been interesting, because I think what I appreciate about it all is the historical perspective. And so a couple of the pods I listen to talk about it from that context, right? Like the hoops that DOJ lawyers and FBI had to jump through just to get Garland to sign that search warrant so that he could go to the judge, right? And so they were just putting that in the historical context of all the previous just bad politicians we've had, and everybody was like, "Yo, like we don't have some jacked up politicians, but not like this."
It's bad, and I feel like without coming across racist or anything, this is like white people bad. Like this is like got white people like this is worse than Nixon, and it's like you
way worse.
And it's like it's the words that no one in conventional media will say about this, right? Which is this is like Nixon level. Like you're in trouble a third time, right? Like a third time. Like not only was the first impeachment, right?
Yep.
You then did the insurrection,
bro,
and now they done found out you got a whole library of classified documents sitting in your house in Florida, and you ain't even there. You ain't even there. That's just like open doors, like telling Putin, like, hey man, send your people by the house. I ain't even there. Just pick up what you got. Pick up.
It's a padlock on the door, bro.
Hey,
ask the secretary for the key.
Code to the gate is, you know what I'm saying? And you're like, what is wrong with this dude?
Hey,
and it's like,
no, go ahead.
It's just like he's got lawyers now. The lawyers are like, we can't find a defense lawyer that will allow their lawyers. We can't find a firm for lawyers that will pick it up. Trump gonna get a public defender, right? And no offense, public defenders out there trying to do their job, but that's crazy to me. It's like no one wants to help this guy, and it's because you're an asshole. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't think
bad client.
And I would argue that none of which you're seeing right now is a surprise or shock to mainstream Black America,
Nope.
right? The fact that, yeah, they let him take classified documents to his house. My job won't even let me take my laptop to the house. But
Right.
somehow a president of the United States who's also a white male gets to take his stuff, go home. And it's like, now we're talking about whether that is illegal or not. I don't
Right.
understand this debate around the illegality, right? Like, what is happening here? But
Right.
you know, it's just one of those things. It's just stupid to me. It's
Right.
incredibly stupid. Yeah.
Your boy passing out national security documents like he passing around a Netflix password, bro.
Right.
Like that's that. Like it's like,
They're like, hey, log in. But when I'm on, y'all,
right,
y'all chill.
we can't be in the room together, right?
Right.
Only two
And they
people
got
in the
the
room
nerve.
at a time.
They got the nerve to talk about Hunter Biden's laptop. Bruh, Mar-a-Lago's whole house. You got classified
Right.
documents. They ain't
Right.
even on it. And then I love the fact that Hillary Clinton wore that damn cap the
Oh, yeah.
day of the raid.
Oh,
That
yeah.
said, well, what about her emails?
Right, bro. The White House. Hey, my Netflix password is White House 2022 all caps. Right. Like, what's crazy to me about the whole situation, right, is when you hear Merrick Garland talk about it. He was like, "Yo, it didn't have to come to this. We asked
Right.
him
We asked
to
him.
get. He gave up 15 boxes.
No. It's like Merrick Garland saying, hey, a part of my testimony on January 6th, I actually can't tell you a lot of what was going on because we were packing up the president's car with a bunch of documents. What documents? I don't know. Some of them top secret, some confidential. I don't know. It was a bunch of stuff. He took him down to his house in Florida. Be like, oh, really? Hey, Trump, can we talk with some of your people? What do you want to talk with them about? See, the thing is, we heard you got some documents. You potentially have some documents in your house. I'd like to come by, look at them, just make sure they're not crazy. Okay. I mean, yeah, sure. Come on by. Someone comes in, it's like, hey, so this document, it says top secret on it. What's up with this? Oh, I wasn't supposed to take that? Yeah, it's top secret. What are you talking about, man? It's confidential. You can't take confidential documents. Oh, so then they give them 15 boxes worth of stuff, right? And then someone comes back and be like, well, did you check the other bedroom? Because they got a whole bunch of stuff back there. Be like, what other bedroom? Right. Oh, that's where all the good stuff is. Like, that's
But
crazy.
the crazy thing about it is you talked about why he can't find good lawyers. A lawyer had to sign that said when he gave the first 15 or whatever boxes, there aren't any more. So a lawyer signed a legal document that said we gave you everything that we had. And then somebody in Mar-a-Lago was like, yo, no, he got 12 more back here, right? Like
I just saw a whole bunch of documents over by that shredder. Like, what?
Like, they in the attic. They just asked the front desk to give you, room key 2.
Right.
And boom, they just in there on the bed, right? Like next to the mini fridge. And it's like I can't
next to the mini fridge.
I can't. You know what's really bad is it was crazy is like day one the news came out, Republicans were like, rah, up in arms. Day two, still talking messy. And then apparently somebody in Republican circles went around and was like, hey, you might not want to be too close to this.
It was the Intelligence Committee Republicans that were like this. Hey, so
we know what he took.
Here's the problem. And this is why you haven't had what's his name from Kentucky say anything, right?
Oh, it's like, Mitch, no, you done.
No, Mitch is like this. So, I mean, I think we should support Trump here. And then someone says, hey, he had a paper on you too. What? He had what? He had a couple documents. They were labeled about you. He had documents on everybody. They're like, how is this not blowing up worse than Nixon? I just don't get it. I don't understand. And how people are still like,
yeah, I think the difference is
he should run for president again. Be like,
the difference is with Nixon, the Republican Party was like they turned on Nixon towards the end and was like, hey, we're going to vote to impeach you if you don't step down. This Republican Party is so tied to Trump from a fundraising perspective that they can't turn away from him because he brings in money. And so they're going to ride his coattails until he drowns. And I think you see some of them like Mitch McConnell that's like, bro, we got to turn the page. But then you got folks like Lindsey Graham that was like, who was knee deep in this mess going on in Georgia. He has to ride the coattails because he's got to do whatever he can to stay out of trouble.
Dude.
So
it's
interesting. It's
incredible. It's incredible because it's like y'all are really willing to go down this route. And then to see it's interesting because then you could look at Mitch McConnell and be like, so who's next up? And I swear to God, when they say Ron DeSantis, you're like this. Trump Jr.? That's Trump Jr. to me. The insane guy, you know, I don't know if he's Trump light. I think he's just Trump B, right? Which is
I would say smarter version than Trump.
I don't even know if he's smarter. I just think he's craftier, right? Which is more challenging because his stuff is like, don't say gay, right? And it like gets people surrounding issues because he makes it about kids. And it's like, them kids ain't worried about that, right? Of all the things the kids got going on, you think teaching them about critical race is a problem. Or you think critical race is showing up in the math lesson of the day. Or you're banning books. It feels like we're giving up a polar nut job for a fascist. And you're like, I don't 100%. Know. You know what I mean? I don't understand how we got to this place. But also, while we were gone, Andrew Yang and a bunch of middle or slightly conservatives, along with some Republicans, all got together and said they were going to create a new political party, a third political party called Forward. That's what they said. They created a third political party that they hope to challenge everything. So that's coming.
It's stupid. I heard him speak the other day, and his party position is literally, we don't take a position, we just go forward. And they were like, all right, cool. What about Roe v. Wade? Well, we don't really have a position on Roe v. Wade as a party. We just want to listen to the people and do whatever the people think. And like, but what's your position personally? Well, I don't really have a position. He said, but last year you were a Democrat. So do you still stand by what you said then? And dude fell apart on national TV. Daniel said, when is it okay to make a change in a system that you never built or think is outdated? Whew, that's a loaded question, Dave.
I think it's always okay to make a change in the system. Whether you can make the change
exactly
is the more challenging thing there, right?
Exactly.
It's always okay to challenge the system, and I think we should challenge our systems, whether we built them or not, to be of service to the people, right? I think that about every system. Whether you can make that change is impactful enough. And I think that in terms of our political system right now, it'd be very difficult for anybody to upend our two-party system.
100%.
It's just not clear that we're getting the best service, right? It's like we're stuck between AT&T and Comcast, and you can't even think about a world where DirecTV might exist or some other service might exist, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem.
And I think and I think the system was created to be that, right? I think,
Right.
it's like, hey, if we keep people living in polar opposites of each other,
Yeah.
then nobody's ever going to come together and do real change, even though on most issues we agree. It's just these minor ones that are here or there that push us, that polarize us to the edges. Excuse me. Um, so yeah, I think it's this. So I think, Kerry, I agree with you that I think it's always all right. I think we should always be challenging the system, but I also think we also have to understand that some systems are so baked in that
Right.
it just takes a lot of effort to. But I will also say, I'll also caveat this, and I'll say I think that's why some of the things that the Democrats have done this year have been semi-impressive, because you have somewhat united a party that covers Joe Manchin to Bernie Sanders. So I some of that I do have to give some credit to Joe Biden. There's still work that I think he could do or should do, but the fact that you got major legislation across the finish line, that progressives have been screaming about for years, but that conservative Democrats don't want, I think, is a true does show Joe Biden as a competent leader.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just difficult. And what I would also mention here is there's a show on HBO called The Anarchist, right? I think that's what the name of that show is called. But it's about all these people that are libertarians that believe in overturning government and kind of living on their own kind of rules and stuff, and how they kind of come together in Acapulco, Mexico. But the show is fascinating because it's documentary style, so it's showing the last few years of this conference and how people come together around these ideas of like no taxation, not really having police, and funding police and defunding police, and what a society looks like largely governed by people instead of structures and systems. The fascinating thing turns when something very violent happens inside of that community. And those people are like, what do you do when you're an anarchist? Right. And you don't believe in systems like government and shared hospital bills. So, like, it's fascinating to watch these libertarians experience this of what happens when things go left and they don't have those systems in
Yeah.
place. Right.
I mean, I think ultimately when we think about life like that, the problem in the system and the problem in not having a system is the people,
Right.
right? Like it sounds good on paper to say, hey, let's govern from a libertarian perspective, right? Like government out of everything. But the problem is the people, right?
Right.
Like I
Right.
mean, that it's just like we are the problem in the system we've created, and we are the essentially the because I think the idea of libertarianism and self-governing believes in the best of us,
Right.
whereas having the systems that we have in place now is a system built on believing in the worst of us,
Right.
or our worst impulse versus our best impulse, and
Well,
neither one of those two things can exist together.
I would say a libertarian society at scale demands of the people to be common to each other, right? You don't you don't have to like the other person, but you have to treat them common, right? You have to be on common standards. And that falls apart because our current society, I would say, is more about risk mitigation, right? It's we need a law in place in case of all the worst things happening, and we need things to be in place for all the worst things that could go down. And somehow our society and our economy has morphed into um, a perfect example of this. I saw a comment today on the impending student loan forgiveness challenge that's probably
Mm-hmm.
out here soon, and someone wrote at the bottom, they said, "What about me? I paid off my student loans. Why should I have to pay for somebody else that went to school?" And then somebody under that said, "What about me? I didn't even go to college. Why should I have to pay for those that chose to go to college and accumulate debt?" And I would say this to those people, this is the problem within our society, because you believe that this would be the first instance of you paying for something that did not benefit you.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
instead, you've been paying for farm subsidies, you've been paying for telecom subsidies, you've been paying
Exactly.
for all these taxation things that you don't even know about, but somehow marketing has led you to believe that the $1 trillion that it's going to take to waive student to get rid of student loan debt, right? That could potentially be beneficial to the economy or could hurt it. We don't know. But also, that's your first time of ever doing something outside of yourself. But it's also convinced you that the America that was founded on the principles that we should be here for each other as a brotherhood, as a commonality of nations, that's not in the best interest of you. The liberty is being defeated by you looking out.
I would argue that version of America never existed. But to take it a step further to your point, when you're talking about the student loan debt conversation, traditionally what you have in this argument is somebody that's older arguing that they paid off their debt from
Right.
college versus somebody that's younger who now has debt. But what we don't, and what they choose not to factor into this conversation, was the cost of college versus the cost of the cost of college today versus the cost of college yesterday, but also the value of the job you got out of college in their time versus the value of the
Right.
job that you got now. So if you graduated from college back then and had $3,000 of student loan debt, you were also making a wage that allowed you to pay off that debt because all of the other things around you, house, car, whatever, the other bills that you accumulated as an adult were also at scale.
Right.
Whereas now, the things that you walk out with as a college student, in addition to debt, are not at scale, nor
Right.
has pay increased or kept up with with how much life costs. So our
Right.
pay as a society has stayed relatively stagnant while inflation in the cost of goods and services has been on a ever increasing trajectory. And if we really wanted to have a real conversation around what would it take to, one, decrease student loan debt, but also increase how much we're taking home as a society, is we would have a real conversation about how do we increase the pay scale, and really tie it to inflation. Like our pay, whether you're minimum wage or not, needs to be tied to inflation. And if you're salaried, you need to get more than a BS cost of living raise every year. Because anyway, I'm going to step off the high horse here because I'll ride this high horse real strong.
I mean,
So
it's just an economy in a position that just does not recognize the degree of moral luck that you've had to be able to pay off your student loan debt. And seriously pushing on that is the time at which you went to school, the
yep.
job that you were able to be given. And personally, I'm and I understand that this could be semi-controversial, but we've been gone for a minute. So I will say this. It's really troubling that Christians hold this view sometimes, because
Oh,
if you accept the fact that God is the creator of everything and God is giving you everything, then you didn't pay off anything. God paid off those bills
yeah,
through you.
yeah.
But the fact that you can now then say the blessing that I've been given, which is money in form of money and
Mhm.
economic value, should be throttled by my decision making instead of sharing that blessing with others,
Mhm.
says a lot about your own character. But I think
Well,
that's
I
another.
mean, I think we can all agree. And real quick, Dan, I want to make sure we hit your question. If you could expound on that a little bit because it does. I don't understand. It's small business and extreme in the Black community. Don't know what you're asking there. So shoot that one more time, and we'll definitely ask that question, answer that question. But I think we can all agree that today's Christianity or today's religion is situational, right? I think
Right.
we only believe
Why is
and
that
we
the
only
case?
listen. Why?
Right. Yeah. Why is
Because
that?
because I think as an individual, I think you always want to live in the gray area. You want to live in the exception to the rule, right? You want to
Right.
live on this rather than that. And so whenever we're proposed an opportunity or a conversation that says, hey, we the Bible says you should you shouldn't eat bottom feeders, right? Or no, you have people that argue, well, you shouldn't eat pork because that's in the Bible. Well, hell, the Bible says you can't eat catfish either because it's a bottom feeder, right? I think it allows people. I think living situationally allows people the comfort of their own personal convictions, and we can say, "Oh, I am or I am this, or I'm that because I do this," but I'm going to totally skip over the other 15 verses that speak to that exact same thing, right? Like
Yeah.
anyway.
Don't get me talking about that stuff because I think a lot of people get caught up in explainisms, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they develop a position and then try to use words or laws or
Yep.
philosophies or approaches to affirm that position
Exactly.
instead of questioning whether that is a sound position through philosophies, laws, religion, spirituality, exploration, education, anything like that, right?
And
And that's the problem that comes along with that.
I think that's an American thing because I think it's also tied to this irrational belief that I made it, that I pulled myself up by my bootstraps, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think to a certain degree, you could, and you don't necessarily need to be Christian, be a Christian or be religious or spiritual to recognize this, but there's just a degree of moral luck, right? You did not choose your race. You did not choose your economic position. You didn't choose when you were born. You didn't choose how you came across this. You didn't even choose whether your brain had the capacity to learn the things that genetically were just there, right? Because people that were less fortunate didn't choose to be in those positions as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, to a certain degree, you don't even need to be spiritual to recognize you didn't do any of that, right? But I think it takes away from the story that people have built up that
I did
I'm
it.
the one,
Yeah.
I did it. It's
Mm-hmm.
me, right? And
Yeah.
I can recognize even through myself, it's like, yeah, I got a house, I got a car, I got a job, right? These things have worked out for me. I'm very fortunate in that situation to have made the right calls that got me here at this time,
But
right?
your
Given that
story,
opportunity.
but and I think you're hitting it. Your story is less impressive to other people if you have to tell it through the lens of how other people helped you get there. And I think
Right.
that's what people are confused. My story is so much better when I can fantasize it through the lens of a Hollywood movie script, as
Right.
opposed to as
That's
opposed to
like,
this.
oh, my
I
book
did,
can't come out. My book
yeah,
can't come out unless it's like it's all me. It's all me. I did it. No one else
exactly.
helped.
Like
Everyone thought I was going to do it, and
the world
and
was
it's like
against me.
that's just not the reality that we're in. And you're not defending that by limiting other people's pursuit of happiness or balancing those equations out. So you paid off your debt. Great for you. That's it.
Yeah,
That's it. No more than that. To take
but
it a step further and say, because I paid off my debt, I can now tell you we shouldn't help you pay off your debt.
yeah. Instead of realizing it's
Right.
interesting. Instead of realizing the blessing, right? Instead
Right.
of saying, "Wow, this is such a blessing for me in my life," I want other people to share in that blessing. So I'm
It's
going
just
to give
amazing.
of myself, or I'm going to advocate for policies that allow others to feel this same feeling. No, we can't
It's
have
just
that. I did it
it's just
myself, so you should do it yourself.
it just weaponizes people's privilege sometimes. And it's like, I didn't ask you
Mhm.
for your weaponized privilege in my life. I didn't need that, right? I didn't need your judgment. I didn't need your positioning on
Yep.
something to clarify or affirm or further my own pursuits of things. All I needed you to do was step out of the way,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And if you're not going to help, then go to the side.
Yeah,
That's
so
how
I want to make sure. I know you and I always talk about keeping this thing to a hard hour because most of
hey,
us, most of the time, we got to get back and do a couple things after we end the pod. But I hope you guys are enjoying the show, man. We're back every Monday. But I want to make sure we hit Daniel's question. I think Daniel, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you're talking about a small business, a rarity, or what makes is small business a rarity or an extreme in the Black community? If I'm referencing your other comments the right way, um, and I'll speak to that. So one of our good friends, Justin, has been on the show a couple of times, and I think the thing that makes small business harder in the Black community, I think, is access to capital. Right? I mean, I think it's that startup cash. It's the cash that you need to scale, and I think that's what makes it hard for our businesses to survive and thrive. And I also think some of it's on us, right? I think we will ask each other for hookups, or we will ask each other, or we don't give each other's businesses grace, and we judge our own businesses based on the best businesses out that have climbed the mountain and have scaled, and we judge our new small businesses against businesses who have already scaled. And I'll say, we will judge the shipping of a friend who opens up a soap line or a t-shirt line, or whatever the small business is, right? Whatever they choose to do. I waited too long in line at their restaurant, but Chick-fil-A gets me out in under a minute, or Amazon will have me same day delivered on my protein powder. And we judge our own businesses we judge our own small businesses the same way we judge businesses who are finished scaling. And I think at times we are our own worst enemy as it relates to our small businesses.
I think that's true. I agree with you. So yeah, man.
So Daniel, I hope we hit it. I hope that got to the essence. I feel like you're bringing up a topic that probably demands a whole show again, but maybe we'll work on getting Justin back on so we can have that Black business conversation again.
Yeah, man. All right, man. Favorite part of the show? What do you think?
Here, hey, all right. So eventually we're gonna get this down, right? Hero villain time. We've been at this for a year and some change now. We still don't have like a sound or a
I don't know
like.
what the sound would be. Would it be like, da-da-da-da, you know,
Kabam splat.
the bland splat?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So hero villain, man. I don't.
Who's your
Man,
hero? Who's your villain? I think my hero is us. We're back.
we're
I also
back,
think
man.
we're kind of the villain though too. We've been gone for a minute.
Yeah,
We
took
got
a
to get
long
back
time.
into the game. We got to
I
get
mean, I
back in.
think I think life just happened, bro, and it wasn't like I think
You ain't
the
never
first
been about
couple
that.
times it was us moving into the house, and then Comcast is my villain, or Xfinity, they my villain, right? Like I'm just trying to get my cable on, bro. Like so, like a
Right.
week, 2 weeks was 2 Mondays. It was Comcast jacking up the cable. I don't know, man. I think my hero is just all the folks who have blessed us with guidance and wisdom and affirmation to get to where we are today, right? Like, the house is a work in progress. So construction going on in a couple places, converting a carport to an office. I'm staring at an unfinished front door because we changed out the front door. And so just to have the capacity to do these things, right? I shared when Candace and I first got married in our first house, we had a condo in Loganville. And it was $119,000 is what we spent on our first 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2.5 bath condo in Loganville. And to think of that time, and you think about where we are today, it's so crazy, right? Like it's hard to put into words just how much as a family, we've been blessed to get here, right? I'm just a kid from Augusta, Georgia, man. I didn't make any more or less right decisions than some of my friends. I think I just rolled with the punches and took what life gave and did a few things differently, right? But I think to get back to your point earlier, like we don't get here without the village.
Right.
We don't get to this moment in this house. We actually downsized a little bit. The house is smaller than the one we left, but it's in a great area, 6 minutes from the office. But you don't get here unless the village helps you get there. That doesn't make for a sexy story. That doesn't make for a lifetime movie. But I think as I sit here and we bring the pod back to the masses, and we talk about hero villain. I think it's hard to have a villain today. At least for me, it's hard for me to sit back outside of Comcast, because Comcast can always be a villain. But yeah, man, it's a blessing, bro. Like it is truly. And I can't wait for you guys, for us to square it away for you guys to get everybody get over here. But yeah,
we're gonna be there.
It's a blessing, bro, because you guys are part of that story, man. Like, like all of the crew, man. You guys are part of the story, because it's like, we bounce things off of each other. When one of us makes a move or a transition that betters life for their family, it's inspiring, and it pushes the other families, right? Like, yeah, bro, like it's all, I'm sorry for the monologue. No, it is inspiring to sit in this room, even though you go through the challenges. I'll share this. We'll do a story time with the funny things that happened for us to get to this moment in this house where we're moved in. But yeah, bro, like it's awe-inspiring to sit in this room and you just think about all the people that helped you get here. Yeah, man. It's it. That's all I got.
I think that's a good note. I think that's a great note to end on, man.
Yeah, man.
Blessings.
But we're back.
We are back. We'll be back next week. Tune in. I don't know what we're going to talk about yet, but we'll talk about something.
Yeah, man. Eventually we're going to work back into the groove. Like I felt myself reaching. Like normally I'm pretty fluid in my thoughts, but I felt myself reaching today for a couple of them. So we'll get back in the groove.
We'll be back at it. So
yeah,
check us out.
I'm gonna drink eventually.
Eventually, we'll get.
Eventually, I'll get back. Yeah.
We might even be able to do like an in-person episode,
bro. Like this is what we're not talking about right now. It's because we do live closer together now,
right?
And so, real quick, let me GPS how long it takes me to get to West Alabama, where you guys live.
No, after what happened to those kids from UCF, no, I'm never going to Alabama again. Kids got caught in the woods, bunch of crazy stuff. Look it up; it's wild.
Hey, real talk, bro. I'm about 23 minutes from you, 25, give or take, right? So we can feasibly get a joint show in,
See,
a in-person show.
goals for the holiday season. We'll figure it out.
We're gonna figure this out, man. Hey, man. As always, it's great to be back, bro.
It is awesome to be back. I'm Kerry.
I'm Jeff,
beat you
baby.
to it.
Whoa, hold on.
I beat him to it. See? Boom.
I wasn't ready. All right, here we go. One more time.
You started off now. See?
All right, here we go. I'm Jeff, man.
I'm Kerry. Peace out, y'all.
Drunk Mondays, baby.